Welcome to the Navic Gaming Podcast, where it is our mission to explore the business and future of video games. We bring together the industry's brightest builders, investors, and thinkers to keep a pulse on current events, dissect emerging trends in games, share lessons learned, and have a great time. This podcast is also part of Navic's growing ecosystem, which ranges from free and premium research to consulting and advisory services. For more information, visit www.navic.co. This episode is brought to you by Neon. For the first time in our industry, developers can finally have their own D2C channels to save on App Store fees and build closer relationships with players. But there's a catch. Selling direct means either building complex infrastructure yourself or choosing among legacy providers whose inexperience in games or questionable reputations pose real risk to your business. Luckily, there's Neon, the D2C platform built for games. As a merchant of record with customizable web shops optimized for conversion and modern APIs that let you use your existing LiveOps tools, Neon is trusted by some of the biggest names in gaming to help you sell direct without the typical overhead. To start selling direct and finally take control over your full player experience, simply head to neonpay.com or check out the link in the show notes. And with that, let's jump into the episode.
Welcome to the Navic Gaming Podcast. I'm your host, David Taylor, and today we're diving into the fascinating growth area within the gaming world, brand activations on Roblox. Over the last few years, brands have been increasingly gravitating to platforms like Roblox as a way to reach younger audiences. In 2023 alone, we saw 240 brand activations on Roblox, which was a 100% increase from the year prior. In terms of revenue, this contributed over $80 million in brand spend, making up roughly 10% of Roblox developer earnings in 2023. From the brand perspective, results can vary greatly depending on the execution. For an advertiser, the cost per play session in a branded experience can range anywhere from as much as $1 to a fraction of a cent. Critical decisions include whether a brand builds its own experience or integrates into an already popular one, and how well that brand resonates with the Roblox audience and the game genre. With such uncertainty around outcomes, much of the spend so far has come from innovation budgets rather than traditional marketing allocations. To explore these trends further and what needs to happen for advertising to further scale on Roblox, I'm thrilled to be joined by three veterans of the Roblox advertising space, each with their own unique approach. Matt Edelman, president of Super League Gaming, Harry Bienenstock, head of growth at Voldex, and Evan Zersky, CEO of Turning Tables. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
To kick things off, maybe everyone can just go around and introduce themselves, share, what is your company's business model and what game or branded game you're best known for. And maybe we can start with Harry, just because he's in the top right corner of my screen.
Fair enough. Thanks, David, for the intro. Great to be here. I'm Harry. I'm head of growth here at Voldex. I've been at the company for 2 years now. I've been in games for about a decade. I was in mobile games before I joined Alex and the team here at Voldex in the UGC gaming space. I'm fascinated by it. It's amazing. The growth has been incredible. And yeah, happy to be here, both on the podcast and in the industry, in the space. So a bit about Voldex and what we do. Alex founded the company back in 2015 at the ripe age of 14 years old, which is incredible. Fast forward to today, Voldex is now a 60-person team, and we operate 3 of the top games on Roblox. Those games are Driving Empire, the #1 racing game, and recent Innovation Award winner for Best Collaboration. The second game is Ultimate Football, which as of tomorrow will be renamed to NFL Universe Football. It's the #1 American football game on the platform. You go a bit more into that if you'd like to later, David. And we also operate the original Roblox dungeon crawler called Dungeon Quest, kind of similar to Diablo, but the Roblox version of it. And so those are the 3 games that we live operate. And our business model is acquiring top games from developers and then scaling them up. We put an entire development team on it, product manager, analyst, devs, marketing, all that great stuff. And we fuel the growth of the games by live operating them. So a few examples of Driving Empire, we brought in licensed cars and scaled the game from that initiative as well as others. Also football, like I mentioned, the NFL is coming in. We expect a lot of growth from that. And Dungeon Quest, just optimizations, onboarding of users, technical stability, different monetization vectors, all that great stuff.
Awesome. And this sort of brings up a dichotomy. There's licensing and then there's advertising. And so it sounds like you guys have done more of the licensing stuff, but I believe you guys also do some advertising as well in these games to drive additional revenue. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah. Primarily we've been operating the games. That's our business model. We acquire games, operate games, and we look at the game's revenue from in-game purchases, premium payouts, advertising on platform. We've recently, over the past year, leaned more into brands, having brands in the game and brand integrations. So that's a new growth vector for us, and it's something that we've been doing a lot more of. But yeah, traditionally, we've done on both sides, both the licensing side of things as well as the brand advertising side of things. So yeah, happy to go into both.
Awesome. Thanks. Let's pass it over to Evan then.
So I'm Evan. I go by Evan Bear One on the Roblox platform. I have been on Roblox actually for over a decade at this point. I joined as a player in 2013, and then quickly over the next couple of years, around 2015, 2016, started as an influencer, creating content on both Twitch and YouTube. From there, around 2016 to 2018, I had a lot of interest in becoming a Roblox developer. So I composed soundtracks for a lot of games like Tower of Hell, Miner's Haven, Theme Park Tycoon 2, and a bunch of others. And then quickly got into doing development of my own games. So I've worked on games like Jet Wars 2, Avatar Outfit Creator, Blob Eating Simulator, and a bunch of other ones. So that's a little bit about me. My company, Turning Tables, we founded the company around 2 years ago with our first title, Avatar Outfit Creator. Since then, we have gotten about 200 million plays on that game and integrated about 25 brands within the last 9 months, just in 2024 so far. So we've seen brands like PGA Tour, Sour Patch Kids, Fresh Cut, Beniondolo, a bunch of other brands as well integrate in. And that's our big thing that we do now is integrating brands into our existing portfolio of games. Beyond that, we also create original experiences for brands. So like Fresh Cut and Sour Patch Kids, we created a game called Rapid Rumble with Fresh Cut and then partnered with a studio called Polycount to make the Sour Patch Kids Tycoon game on Roblox. Beyond that, we are also a UGC agency. So we have over 700 UGC items that we've created for brands in 2024, making us the largest agency on the platform. And then we're kind of still growing from there. That's pretty much it.
Awesome. And I'm excited to sort of ask you maybe in a little bit later about the UGC side of things, because I think that's a really interesting angle as well. But let's pass it over to Matt for now.
Sure. Thanks for having me on. Great to meet everybody. I am the president and chief commercial officer of Super League. Our primary business is helping brands and IP owners get onto the platform. We work on other platforms as well, but Roblox represents the majority of our business. We worked with, I think, about 100 brands in 2023, and we'll probably eclipse that this year. And we do that through a number of sort of complementary capabilities. One of the key elements is, of course, our development studio. And probably most recently, we were recognized for bringing the Olympics to life on Roblox. So we were responsible for building Olympics World, which celebrated the Paris Olympics and then the Para-Olympics or Paralympics. And that was, very successful. Our partners were both the IOC and Visa, and we were able to collaborate very closely with Roblox because it's such an important cultural event for them as well on the platform. Our development studio has built a number of experiences. We've got, I guess, a roster of an eclectic mix. So we built the first Broadway show inspired experience in Hamilton. We acquired a studio a couple of years ago that had built and we're still operating experiences for Clark's, Dave & Buster's, Chipotle, and we have a handful of others that are out there and pending. We also have a proprietary technology and product piece of the business. We have an SDK that 10,000 experiences on the platform have signed up to use. Those 10,000 experiences reach about 150 million monthly active users on Roblox. And so this set of developer tools that's baked into the SDK gives us great reach and information and data that we can bring as a good asset for our partners in a variety of levels. And one of those, probably more than others, is what we have as interactive content modules we call pop-up experiences that we are able to build and distribute across multiple experiences. And effectively, they are playable drag and drop experiences that a developer can add to their game. And we've done that with dozens of brands, ranging from Maybelline in the beauty space to Old Navy as a retailer, to 7-Eleven. We're also able to run brand lift studies for our partners through our SDK, which we've done with just a wide roster of businesses. And so we've really tried to be both a product-oriented company as well as a services-oriented company to help third parties access the Roblox audience in a variety of creative and ROI-driven ways.
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, all three of you represent really interesting angles of the Roblox platform. I mean, Matt, sounds like you guys are very much invested in advertising tech and supporting brands as they come in to advertise on the platform. Harry, you guys at Voldex are focused on live ops and sort of growing games. And Evan, you're sort of sitting in between both. You've got games, and you're also enabling brands to advertise as well through both UGC as well as original experiences. So I'm really excited to have you guys all on the podcast. I would love to just hop right into it. And the first kind of question that I have is, why are brands coming to Roblox? Like, can you help us understand the brand perspective of what's in it for them, and why should they come? And maybe we start with Matt, given that you guys have an interesting advertising platform.
To clarify one thing, a couple of years ago, Super League, through our SDK, which is called SuperBiz, we like using the word super, but we don't own the word super on Roblox. There are a couple of actually pretty good games we would love to have in our portfolio that have the name super, but no such luck.
Good disclaimer.
Yes. So we, a couple of years ago through our SDK, we had a what I would call our a series of homegrown ad units that were very widely displayed and available in games on the platform. And so we were running our own video ads, billboard ads, animated GIF advertisements, and that was all connected through our SDK. And we're bringing in a fair amount of revenue for developers. And then, of course, Roblox determined that having more control around the ad ecosystem made sense for them, both from a user safety standpoint, from a revenue standpoint, from a value, proposition to brands. And so we became a partner with Roblox in helping to bring their ad product to market, deprecated the ad products of our own that were duplicative to what is now the Roblox immersive ads platform. And so what we really have focused on instead is looking at Roblox as an experiential and content marketing platform, so as to be distinct from a more traditional ad solution that really is represented quite well and comprehensively by Roblox's native immersive ads. And in that regard, we look at the reason brands care about this space being that it is the most deeply engaging place on digital platforms to connect with an audience. There is no equivalent on digital, and it is the closest thing in digital to real life engagement. And that's really why brands get excited about the proposition. There are a lot of things that brands are still interested in seeing prove out longer term that I know we will start to cover. But to me, that's really the crux of it. Is there is a massive audience, a highly engaged audience. I think all of us know, but maybe not all listeners know, that the average member of Gen Z spends 156 minutes per day on Roblox. And if you think a little more broadly about 3D digital spaces, the amount of time the average member of Gen Z spends on Roblox and Fortnite combined is greater than the amount of time an average member of Gen Z spends per day on YouTube and TikTok combined. And so there's just no equivalent to the kind of relationship you can form if you're able to be a part of that time spent. And so that's really what drives, the highest level of interest.
Anything to add, Harry and Evan?
Yeah, happy to. I think Matt nailed it. Users are spending 2.5 hours a day on Roblox, which is more than any other platform, more than TikTok, more than YouTube. And brands, since the beginning of time, when they're advertising and marketing, they want to be where the attention is. So users' attention, the user base they want to reach or the audience they want to reach, if they're on Roblox, then that's where they need to be. If they're on TikTok, that's where they want to be. So wherever they are. So it used to be driving on a highway, they put the billboards up. Then it was, they're on listening to the radio, so they had radio ads. Then it was watching TV, so they got TV ads in there. And at a certain point in time, being on those platforms in front of an audience was the most impactful way to advertise to them. There was less competition. There was, just people, like everyone tuning in. There was 3 channels back in the day. So people are watching one of the 3 channels at 8 p.m. watching a specific show. So that's where we are today with Roblox. There's a ton of users on that platform, Gen Z and Gen Alpha audiences. That's where they are. That's where their attention is. So if brands want to get the attention of those users, those people, then that's where they need to go. And a big difference between advertising to a user on Roblox versus on TikTok is that, we say in gaming, users are leaned in, right? It's a leaned in audience because they're actually engaging, they're active, versus being on TikTok where they're just scrolling, or YouTube where they're passively watching at times. So on Roblox, they're leaned in. In gaming, they're leaned in. So yeah, that's a really big deal. And I think I'd listened to the podcast that you had recently with Eve from Spin Master, and he was talking about how Roblox is all about, self-expression and creativity. And that's what this generation is all about. So when you bring your brand to the space, which he's done successfully, it's a recipe for success, which is huge. So
nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Eve.
Shout out to Eve.
I think something else I'd add too is that a lot of brands look at Roblox as, a specific game, right? Roblox is not one game. There's a lot of small communities on here. And when I use the word small, I don't mean 1,000 people, actually. What I mean is actually a few million. But, in comparison to something like TikTok, there's these niche communities that are on Roblox, just like how there's subsets of social media platforms. And each one of these games, whether it's an FPS game, whether it's a princess roleplay game, whatever it may be, has a very specific type of audience. As I'm sure all of us know, we have games in our portfolios that have a much larger, U.S. female audience, or much larger Indonesian male audience, or whatever it may be, right? And so I think when advertisers are coming to the platform, that's one thing that they really have to know, is that you can actually do a decent bit of targeted advertising as long as you are partnering up with the right games, right? And that's what I think the power of Roblox really is just how broad it is across all of the games that are on the platform.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And so just to close the loop on things, I think you guys are talking a lot about sort of brand exposure, reaching audiences. I think ultimately what brands want is to basically grow brand affinity and brand recognition, right? Like be recognized, but then also have a positive affinity associated with their brand. Just to throw in, my experience over at Super Social, we did a survey off of one of our branded experiences, and admittedly, I've always been a bit of a skeptic of branded experiences, but we did show, like, off of the survey, that after people played our game, there was a almost doubling of both brand recognition and brand affinity from willingness to purchase this brand's products. So, even if the numbers might be lower for branded experiences, they still appear to be impactful. And I think the last thing that everyone's trying to solve is actually conversion. But I think that's still in the works. So just to sort of go ahead, Matt.
David, we run brand lift studies every month. There's some months we run, more than double-digit brand lift studies, and we also do research through our brand lift study product, and it runs across multiple games through our SDK. So we're able to get thousands, if not tens of thousands, of responses in very short order, and we're generally seeing when it comes to brand lift for a marketer that puts themselves on the platform in some reasonable way. So relative to the control group, I mean, we're seeing on the low end 14% lift on a favorability level, but on the high end, in the 20s and 30% when it comes to brand preference and awareness. And so it is undeniable that there is a powerful impact for a marketer in getting themselves on the platform. That will only take the industry so far, to your point. ROI is going to be increasingly important. That's what's going to move money from experimental budgets, which you referenced, to more regular, media commitments, marketing and media commitments. Again, I know we'll likely get into that dialogue as well, but the opportunity just from affinity and awareness is clearly there.
Awesome. And yeah, this sort of brings us to the next question, which is, how are each of you positioned to sort of serve this need for brands within the Roblox space? You shared it a little bit in the introductions, but just wondering, if you could give us an idea of, if a brand were to come to you and ask, how can I activate in Roblox with you guys? What would be the opportunity for them?
So in talking to brands, when they come and talk to me or I'm talking to them, it's about them wanting to get in front of this audience, right? So the best way for them to get in front of this audience is to go where the audience is. So we say that players are on Roblox, but they're in specific experiences within Roblox, right? So if an advertiser wants to reach sports enthusiasts that are primarily male aged, 13 to 24, then Ultimate Football or NFL Universe Football is the place for them to reach these players at, or these users at, right? If they want to reach car enthusiasts or driving enthusiasts with that are worldwide with a global presence, then Driving Empire is the best place for them to be. So generally, that's where the conversation starts, is what is the audience that they're trying to get in front of, and see if there's an audience match in terms of demographics, geographics, all, and interests and all that great stuff. So we see if there's a match first and foremost. And if there is, then we can talk about what type of opportunities or what they could do that'll be natural for the game, both for their brand and for the game, that can make sense. So a good example is we had an integration with Shipt last July, where they're a same day delivery service owned by Target, and they incorporated a mini game into Driving Empire. And the mini game was, you open up a cell phone, you're the Shipt driver, you take an order, you pick up the goods at a store, at a place, and you deliver them to the person that ordered, and it's like one of your friends. And that's like a simulation of real life. That's what they could experience inside of the real world. So it wasn't a far-fetched idea for Shipt to have this within Driving Empire. It was a very natural fit. So
except the delivery guy has a Lamborghini, right?
Except the delivery guy has a Lamborghini. That's right. Very realistic. Extremely realistic. Lamborghinis were this year, so they were there last year for deliveries. But yes, exactly. It's a great point. But yeah, so just things that are natural, things that are fit with a given audience. I think it's extremely important. And like getting in front of an audience that already exists. I'll say that again, and that's the point that I want to really harp on here, is that it's really tough for brands. If they want to come to the platform, get in front of an audience. You can't just build it and expect people to come within like a new experience that's built from scratch. You need to build a strong game, a solid game, a strong core loop. You have to market it, get users in, have them share with their friends, and have that word spread. And that's not necessarily a recipe for success. If you want your brand to be in specific types of users, then just go to where they are, which is in specific experiences within Roblox. They're on Roblox, but they're living within specific experiences, and brands need to find them where they are.
I think that's a really great point. How about you, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I agree with everything that Harry said. I've worked with brands on original experiences. I worked at GameFam for a long time. I actually worked with Super Social for a long time. And, from the learnings that I received there and learnings that I've, gotten from running my own company now, I would say 99 out of 100 times, honestly, it's always going to be more expensive for a brand and cost more per user for a brand to make an original experience on Roblox, themselves. If you are meeting users where they are, you're integrating into games, like both Voldex and Super League do. I think that's where a brand is going to see, whether it's now or in the future, that sort of ROI. We see it all the time in our game Avatar Outfit Creator with clothing brands integrating in. We've had probably about 5 different clothing companies integrating into our game who are releasing their own UGC on the platform or wanting to promote their latest, physical, shirts and apparel with inside of Roblox. And they're coming into our game because we have, anywhere from 65 to 80% of our users that are, female around the age of 13 and in the US. So, if these brands are coming into our game and integrating in, it's perfect for them, right? They're meeting the community, where they are, and they're not having to spend 6-figure budgets to do that, right? They're spending, even sometimes, depending on what they're doing, low 5-figure budgets, to be in our game and interact with these players.
You should be charging more, Evan.
Oh, yeah. We have multiple levels, right? Yeah.
This is great. This is the perfect place for us to all share advice and learnings. One question for you though, Evan, is one of the things that I've been sort of scratching my head about is I see a ton of brands that are interested in UGC, right? But I don't see the type of scale that you see on some of these experiences, like, Driving Empire, for example. With a UGC, you're entering a marketplace that's very saturated. It's hard to stand out. There's a lot of, items that look exactly the same as one another. So from your perspective, what's the opportunity that brands are pursuing when they explore UGC? And just so the audience knows, UGC are these cosmetic items that you're able to bring across experiences. They're basically attached to your avatar, and they can be brought to any experience that you go to. So, players definitely value them. There's just a ton in the market. Like, I don't know, are there billions of cosmetic items, out there that you could choose from? So how does a brand stand out in the UGC space?
Right. So how we usually see UGC, especially when it's promoting either an original experience or an integration, is we use it as an advertising mechanism. We're not having these brands spend 6 figures using Roblox's advertising dashboard to run sponsored ads or portal ads or things like that. Typically, those have much higher cost per plays. What we're typically doing is we're giving away free UGC to players by completing some sort of quest in the game, whether that's a scavenger hunt where they have to run around at the map and find a soccer ball, or that's completing a much more complex quest like an obstacle course, or get a certain amount of kills in the game if that's the objective, right? So we use UGC as basically a way to drive players to these original experiences and integrations, and that works extremely well for us because you're actually rewarding players for coming in and doing something. Not only is that really good for your metrics, but it also makes players more engaged with whatever it may be that you're wanting them to engage with. A great example is we had a glasses company called Zenny integrated into Avatar Outfit Creator, and players' goal was to run around the map and try to find these 5 glasses that were hidden around. And by doing so, you would see the glasses and you'd be able to see all the different kinds of designs of glasses that you can, buy from their website. And so it was kind of getting people used to seeing those. And then at the end, they would get one of those 5 glasses that they found as a free UGC item that they can have on their avatar. And we've seen that a large percentage of those users are actually still wearing those glasses on their avatar, because they got them for free, and it encourages them to, go and complete this quest. But even beyond that, they look cool, and they're an item that players actually would want otherwise. So when you're creating UGC and you're a brand that's coming onto the platform, you can't just create random things. It needs to make sense for the platform, right? You can look at some of the top items that are best selling on the marketplace and say, okay, how can we make our brand fit into that? Don't just slap your logo on it. Zenny's logo was barely on those items, just kind of on the side like they naturally are. on their glasses in real life. But even for brands like Freshcut, we released a lot of UGC items with them that didn't have their logo at all, but it allowed people to feel like it was an item they want, and they interacted more with the brand because of that.
I could just say, I mean, I think, David, if you the data is pretty powerful. 47% of Gen Z expect to discover a brand for the first time in a gaming environment. That's how much time they're spending there. That's the volume of people who are spending time in gaming environments. And a lot of that brand discovery does come in a place like Roblox from UGC. So the opportunity to bring UGC items that have your brand attached to them to that audience, 1 out of every 2 people is probably discovering that brand for the first time, is a pretty profound entry point. And to Evan's point, the notion there becomes the user walking around with a billboard with your brand attached to it. And that is exactly what happens in real life. Look, think of every, piece of clothing or accessory that you have ever seen somebody else wearing or carrying and saying to yourself, I want that. This happened to me at RDC. In fact, I saw an awesome pair of shoes and I went home and I bought them. And they were real life shoes, not virtual shoes. And so I think that's kind of what UGC serves for a brand today. It is not a revenue opportunity of consequence yet. It is a revenue opportunity of consequence for top UGC creators, and it is a part of how the creative class that has emerged through the UGC gaming world are making a living. And that's exciting, but that doesn't yet translate, to a brand opportunity in terms of revenue. So I think those are some, important considerations around UGC. If you don't mind, I do want to touch upon your earlier question, which is just how marketers are thinking about or could be thinking about Roblox. And there's a number of parallels that are constantly drawn because of the concept that UGC gaming platforms are very much like UGC content platforms outside of gaming, and the most prominent, of course, being YouTube. So we just started thinking a little bit more about, well, what does that framework really mean for a marketer? And there are some terrific parallels, not just in the UGC side of it, but in terms of how marketers can engage. So if you think of YouTube, I always use Nike because it's an easy, brand that everybody knows. If you're Nike, you might create your own channel on YouTube, but that is not the place where you are likely to get the most engagement on the platform. It's a beachhead. You need to be there. You're definitely interested in having a place where your videos can show up and be promoted if you have a budget or something important that you want to say through video content. But ultimately, it's not going to be easy to compete with native creators on the platform. So then you go to the next stage. How do you engage with native creators? And on YouTube, there are really 2 high-level ways you do that. You engage a creator to create a custom video. You invite an influencer to go up to the Nike sneaker factory and do a video on how sneakers are made. They put that on their channel. It's there for 3 months, and it gets an enormous amount of viewership based on that a creator's existing audience. You don't have to buy any advertising to promote it. The next layer down is you're working with a creator in a lighter way. It's a creator shout out. At the beginning of one of their natural videos, they're talking about the great Nike sneakers that they're now wearing, that Nike sent them, that are super cool, and that you as a viewer should check out to possibly purchase, and check the link in the description of the video and in the comments. And maybe one other time during that video, you'll see the Nike sneakers because the influencer will put them on camera. The last layer of engagement on YouTube is buying ads. And you can buy YouTube specific ads, and you can buy IAB standard ads on YouTube in their closed ecosystem that's plugged into the entire programmatic stack. That just replace YouTube with Roblox, and you have a very similar situation. You can build your own experience on Roblox. If you want it to get substantial audience engagement, you are going to have to spend money to promote it. Harry mentioned that, very clear. But it is important. You want to have a beachhead. Your beachhead might start with UGC items. Your beachhead might start with an event-based experience that's only meant to get attention for a weekend or a month, and you're not trying to be in the live ops business out of the gate. Otherwise, you're going into creators and you're doing incredible integrations with Boldex games or with Evan's game or one of the 10,000 games in our network, and you're asking to be incorporated into those games in a very organic way. and that integration is baked into the gameplay, and it feels natural and it feels authentic, I guess is the overused word, but it's true. And you might have that integration live for 2 weeks, 2 months, or a year, depending on the budget. You can also go one layer down. This is where our pop-ups are one of, sort of the interesting solutions that we think are out there, where the developer doesn't have to do any work, just like a creator on YouTube does very little work to do a shout out. You drag and drop an interactive content experience into your game, and it's a light, content module that players can enjoy and connect with the brand through that. And then the last way is you can now buy ads. You can buy ads on Roblox. You can buy Roblox specific ads. You can buy IAB standard ads, and they're working their way towards, adding in all of the product and measurement features so that the full programmatic stack, sort of applies in the same ways that it applies to a platform like YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, and I think on the branded experience side, like the parallel I draw to YouTube would be like, would you go watch Coca-Cola's YouTube channel? Probably, probably not. Coca-Cola is probably better off, putting their products in, an influencer who's a big fan of Coca-Cola, who, maybe would do it anyways, or maybe drinks Coca-Cola and is already doing the advertising for them. So I think that's where I think like, I agree that it does seem to follow YouTube very closely. And in that way, my sense is that brands are learning that building your own experience isn't the best way to drive engagement, if that's what you're after. And I hear your point on it's sort of just, you want to you want to own your channel, but if that channel is only reaching, 0.0001% of the platform, and you're spending,
it does depend.
To 7 figures on it, then
right. It depends, right? If you're an entertainment company and you are launching a movie, it's Roblox experience is kind of taken the place of what used to be movie-based websites. They went away for a while, and entertainment companies were really only marketing on social platforms. They now see Roblox as a place where it's a little bit more interactive and in depth and engaging than what you can accomplish on a social media platform or a digital video platform. And so it's kind of become the new website for launching a movie for that demographic. And so there are times where a marketer, can have an effective presence. But you're absolutely right. You have to be prepared for a long-term investment. And that money might be better spent working with an existing experience and existing creator.
I'm curious about the shoes, Matt. What shoes were you inspired to buy? I want to see them, just like that you're talking about the Nikes on the flashing on the screen.
They're a pair of, I have a pair of On running shoes right now. I'm actually wearing them. I'm not going to kick them up because I'll probably hurt something, but it's a different pair of On running shoes that I'm waiting to be delivered. And maybe the next time we're all on video, I will hold them up.
Nice. I thought it was Richard Sims' flashy Nikes that he was rocking. They were fresh. They looked really good during his talk.
Yeah, I can't pull those off. Are you kidding me?
Shout out to Richard. One thing to add on, I know this topic started on UGC items and UGC wearables. I think it's really interesting that there are some items that exist on Roblox that are just worth a crazy amount of money right now, right? Like that Adidas item, that limited that dropped, that's like worth like $20,000 US, right? And Lamborghini
I'm skeptical about that. I feel like this is NFTs all over again, where they just buy their own product and then make a.
Well, I'd love to provide some context there. There were two items or two that were minted, whatever you want to call it, of that item. It was 2 Roblox developers that bought it, Simon Blocks and someone named Coffee Nerds that works on simple games. So these are creators that earn all their Robux from their Roblox games. So in terms of the Robux purchase rate, right? So whenever you're buying it with USD and buying the Robux, yeah, it's $20,000. But on the flip side, when you're actually DevXing it, it's about $7,000. So the value to these 2 creators, it was about $7,000 that they were spending, of money they would have received from Roblox. So it's still a pretty significant amount. I would argue if they had increased that to maybe 10 or 15 people, or mint 15 of them, probably wouldn't have sold out, or at least sold for that much. So inherently, I think it's because, in my account, I've got a few million Robux, I could afford to go buy that effectively. But I think it's all about how much clout you'll get on Twitter compared to anything else.
Evan, you nailed it right there, right? You just, I mean, it's kind of like put a nice button on what we were discussing, because there are only one class of people who can buy that type of item, and those are developers who have earned Robux by having games that earn money from Robux transactions in their game. Maybe some UGC creators have earned enough, but even then, I'm not so sure they can afford easily a $20,000 item. And you can't even, if you're a user and you see an item go on sale for that many Robux, you can't even buy enough Robux. If you wanted to spend $20,000 on Robux using credit cards to buy, you couldn't do it. It's not actually possible. And so, but what it says is there's a place where, brands see a level of opportunity that is meaningful. If they put items on in the marketplace that have that level of value, what they're basically saying to successful Roblox creators is, you are important to us. We want to do something special for you, the creator class. And that's not easy to do on other creator class platforms. You actually have to go, do something very specific and choose the creator you want to work with. On Roblox, you can put something out there that only creators can afford, that's super cool, that raises their profile, makes them, special in the community. And whichever creator grabs it. It's a really interesting way for a brand to connect to this increasingly valuable set of creators.
I think the big question I have around that is, what's the value in return to the brands? Are they actually getting something out of this? And I think the answer is yes, they're getting the press about it for sure. I think that's probably the main reason that Adidas did that, is because they also launched their original experience at the same time. And so it was a big marketing push for them. And I think that was really great. But I think my big question is could another brand come along? Could Nike come along and do a similar thing? And could they get as much attention around it? I don't know that answer, but I think that's my question is that a one-time thing that Adidas was able to pull off and nobody else will be able to use that strategy again? Or is that truly something that brands could do again in the future?
Yeah. And I think a good question is, who are they trying to market to? Are they trying to market to the B2B world and say, hey, we're on Roblox, look how much this is worth, it's cool? Or just to the creators, or is it to the users? Are they trying to market to all the players, right? So,
I think even to touch on that, another thing too is for the last 15 years on Roblox, there has been this very well-known item called the Dominus. It actually, if you can see that purple little thing on my shelf back there, there's one right there. But a Dominus is an item on Roblox that is worth potentially hundreds of thousands of US dollars, that Roblox created way back in like 2009, and people are still spending millions of Robux, tens of thousands of dollars purchasing these items. And that still has value to players. They still find players and developers, they still find that it's worth it to buy those because of that clout, right? So I think, in one sense, that there is a big market for, creating these high value items because, as you said, Matt, someone looks at your profile and they see you as that premium user. They see you as somebody that's, has higher prestige. So it just depends on if a brand can kind of replicate that again.
Awesome. Well, I want to keep us moving. So let's start to look to the future. Roblox has been, investing in ad solutions over the last year or so. They brought on in real world commerce, allowing people to purchase real world items in experiences. They announced that that's going to be an integration with Spotify, so any creator can basically link to, or Shopify, not Spotify. Any creator can link to Shopify in order to sell products from their website, as long as it's linked to Shopify. They're also investing in ad tech, which would love for you guys to explain. So what are some of the things that you think are the biggest opportunities for Roblox when you look at all the investment they're doing in ads? And what's the opportunity for creators as well?
I mean, I can touch on that to start. I think this will be a fun discussion point. So most important is Roblox is moving towards being able to present an ad product that is on par with other ad products that reach the same audience elsewhere. And frankly, that's the only goal that matters. Because if they can't get to parity in terms of targetability, measurement, attribution, then their ad products will always be priced more cheaply than the others that are out there, but still maybe not valuable enough to compel a brand even at that discounted rate. And so ultimately, that's their roadmap. I mean, I don't know it specifically, but I have to believe that their roadmap takes into account that a programmatic buyer is looking at very specific targeting and specific metrics and specific ROI measurement outcomes. And as soon as Roblox can check the box in all three of those buckets, they will have as successful an ad product as the ROI turns out to deliver. So from that standpoint, advertising is I think pretty straightforward. The other piece is,
well, Matt, can I just double click on that?
Sure.
Could you give us an example from both the user experience perspective and the brand perspective of what they need to see? Like, how do you connect? What do you envision the experience of these ad products would be within Roblox?
Well, I don't know that the user experience will have to change that much, because the presence of a billboard, or most importantly and prominently a video, can be similar, I think, even to what it already is on the platform now. And it's really what's happening under the hood and on the back end that an advertiser cares about. And so, it's everything from some of the things that, are measurable today, completion rates, and so targeting. There are certain types of targeting where you can target by age, you can target by gender, genre, game genre. I think that you'll start to see the opportunity to target by category. You'll start to see the opportunity to target by interest level. You'll start to see the opportunity to target on a state level instead of just a country or regional level. You'll start to be able to target based on user engagement levels. And so if you're only interested in an ad showing up where the video is likely to be watched all the way through for 30 seconds, there will be user types who are typically watching the video longer compared to user types who are typically watching the video for 3 seconds and they're turning away. And all of those areas of targeting exist elsewhere. In terms of measurement, the critical measurement is really about attribution. And that's a tough one. It's a tough one because as soon as you allow a user to click out of the platform, all of your policies have to change around user privacy and safety. And it may take quite some time before that happens. And frankly, that is exactly why on-platform commerce is so important to Roblox, which I have other thoughts about that maybe will come up, but I don't want to keep talking, as I'm sure Harry and Evan have other perspectives here. But I think e-commerce inside Roblox has the potential to address a part of attribution. But at the end of the day, Roblox needs to be a performance-driven ad solution. And right now it's not. But that's what they're striving toward, and they've made a ton of progress since they first launched immersive ads.
So for what Roblox announced, what they've been doing on the platform, and what I believe that they need to continue to lean into to be successful in this space, is rewarded video. It's the ads in the ecosystem, but the rewarded video in particular. I mean, we see in mobile games how successful rewarded video is. Both like publishers could thrive in that model, advertisers could thrive, and like the ad networks in between could thrive. There's just a thriving model that's been proven out already. So Roblox right now, they implemented rewarded video this past year. They're starting to get advertisers on board, which is great. We're starting to see more demand on the platform, more ad fill, which is great, but we need more of it. There's a lot of supply that exists. There's a lot of eyeballs. There's a lot of players. We talked about all the DAO and 79.5 million users that are on the platform daily. That kind of, you have to slice it up into 13 plus, and a lot of it is US audiences, what's going to be targeted and all that. But still, there's a lot of available eyeballs that just there isn't enough fill for. So Roblox needs to keep bringing advertisers, whether it's through direct reach outs or through plugging into ad networks, whatever it is. But they need to start bringing in more advertising dollars through the rewarded video, through that vector. That's where the advertising revenue is going to come from. It's not like an image billboard. It's through rewarded video. It's through users actually watching the video and then knowing that they watched it. Through what Matt was saying with that type of attribution. So if you want to go, the
only thing I would say there, and I agree with you, by the way, it's a fantastic product release that is important. If you look at the performance of reward video off of Roblox, mobile is the most prominent place. It performs well. However, brand recall for a video that is not a reward video is higher. And that's because for a reward video, the viewer of that video ad is only paying attention to the reward they get when the video completes. They're not paying attention to the video itself. And so it is a hook that advertisers like, but I don't know if it's going to get advertisers the results that they need in order to open up the budgets that make Roblox an equivalent platform to other places where these brands are chasing the same audience.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about budget unlock from advertisers, I think performance marketing just has so much access to the dollars compared to brand marketing or immersive experimental marketing or experiential marketing dollars. I think performance dollars are quite a significant part of the budget. I come from Playtika, where performance marketing was a big deal of what we did, and the amount of dollars that flowed through. You look at the financial statements of any public gaming company or even any company, you see how big of a component the marketing is to that. So that is a huge unlock.
I actually feel like this brings up an interesting question, and sorry for interrupting, and we can come back to it, but I just want to put a bookmark, which is that in mobile advertising, a significant portion of that advertising is coming from other games that are advertising. So when you think about growing the overall pie, I'm curious, do you guys have a perspective on whether Roblox will follow a similar suit, or Roblox is more suited to attract more brand dollars than mobile advertising does today?
So I think there's a reason that's actually demographic based, but in a way that not everybody always thinks about, and that has to do with the buyers of advertising. And if you think about one statistic, the average incoming age of the CEO of a US company is 54 years old. Let's say a CMO is 5 to 7 years younger on average. That means that CEOs and CMOs are still in Generation X. Generation X did not grow up gaming. They certainly didn't grow up with multiplayer gaming. Millennials started to experience multiplayer gaming when they were teenagers, so it became enough of a fabric of the way that they spent their time and interacted with peers and strangers that it is connected to how millennial executives think. And I believe that what will happen over the next 3 to 5 years as millennials become the CMOs, much less the CEOs, is that gaming will naturally become a much more prominent consideration in marketing budgets and advertising mix, and the advertising mix that a brand spends. And it's just going to be because that's a comfort zone for the people who are making the decisions. Typically, you buy what you know. Why is there still so much advertising on television? A, it's easy, and B, it's what today's CEOs and CMOs have been buying for 30 years, and it's what they grew up watching and engaging with in terms of content. And so I think there is a demographic shift that's coming on the buyer side. I also would say that ads in Roblox are much closer to marketing messages that you might encounter in the physical world, because you're in this 3D space and you're moving around and you're socializing as well as playing and leaning in and behaving in a focused way, as Harry was talking about. To me, that means there is a wider array of brands who a user will pay attention to, and not just pay attention to a brand that is marketing another Roblox game.
I want to just kind of follow up on that as well, as I think Matt touched on that perfectly, that, yeah, exactly. All the executives at these, large companies are not Gen Z themselves, right? They're used to these other mediums. And I think even further on that is that Roblox is not like these other mediums. Right now we have image billboards, we have video billboards, we have this rewarded video we've been talking about. I'm Gen Z, as a player on Roblox that has been here for what now 11 years. Like, I think the problem with how a lot of brands are advertising on the platform is that it is still very traditional in how it's being done. It's billboards. It's like exactly you would see in the real world, but inside of a game that you're playing. And I don't think it feels incredibly organic to a lot of the players that are actually playing on the platform. I think if you talk to a lot of the actual Gen Z, players that are playing Roblox now, they would tell you like, yeah, I don't really care about that billboard that's in a game. And something like, what Voldex is doing with the integrations of the car brands into Driving Empire is a perfect example of how you should be doing advertising on the platform, right? So I think Roblox is struggling with that, where they're saying, hey, we want to build up this, advertising, dashboard to allow these brands to easily advertise to players. But I think, for the most part, those ways that Roblox is doing that right now are the least effective ways, right? The most effective is working directly with games, to bring an experience to players that they'll actually remember. Some of my favorite branded experiences on the platform are some of the first ones, to be honest. When I say experiences, I don't mean individual, original games. I mean integrations. So I remember one of the first ones back in, probably 2014 or somewhere around there was Jurassic World. When that game first came, or that movie first came out, they integrated into a game called The Quarry, and they redesigned the map all around, Jurassic World, and there were dinosaur bones you had to find, and all these different things that felt super organic. And that's, now 10 years later, something I still remember, but I don't remember that billboard that I saw on the platform, in 2016, right? And so that's where I think brands are going to start figuring that out over the next, hopefully sooner, but over the next 10 years, is that traditional advertising does not work on Roblox. You have to do something that's more immersive, something that players care more about. And that's what's going to be most effective.
Nice one, Evan. I just got to mention that word immersive, that immersiveness, them engaging with the content on the platform. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. It's more impactful than seeing a billboard or watching an ad. It's actually having that brand, having your brand inside of the game and having players engaging with it. That's where that sinks in. Those long-term memory banks, like that's where it really registers.
I feel
10
like
years ago. That's amazing.
The challenge there, though, is you can't make that programmatic, right? You got to work in.
That's right.
And I think that's what Roblox is struggling with the most, is they are trying to create that tool to, to be honest, get their cut, of the brands that are coming onto the platform. And I think by having the Shopify integration to kind of tie it in, back to that, they're trying to do that, right? I don't know what they're planning with that, but I would not be shocked if they, are asking to take a percentage of any sort of sales that are gotten through that.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think, first of all, yes, they will definitely be taking a piece of the transaction through Shopify, but I think that, that's okay, right? If it's working and, they're the platform, they deserve a piece. They created essentially a free way for you as a creator to have people shopping in your space. So I don't know that that's, I don't think their motivation is to get a cut. I mean, the motivation is frankly to create more opportunities for creators to make money. And ultimately they're going to want to bring Shopify as a solution out to brands, but I think that that's a little bit further out. And I don't know that there's any timeline associated with that. The creator solution for Shopify is, I think, I don't know if they gave us a firm date at RDC, but I don't know that it's prior to 2025. but I'm creator testing it, I know, but roll out later. Going back to immersive engagement on the platform. I mean, we do get excited about everything you guys are saying because we agree with it, and that is that engagement in play based on how the platform really drives user behavior in the first place. It's all about play. So engaging through play is the only tried and true way to create a long lasting and enduring impression with the player base. That's why our pop-up content modules, we see a 14% higher engagement rate than what's measured outside of Roblox on platforms like TikTok with sort of comparable budgets. And when we have done engagements, and some of these numbers may or may not compare to what you guys have achieved in the games that you own, but we did a promotion with Livetopia and Mattel for Barbie, and we got 60 million visits to the Barbie Dreamhouse in 30 days. We ran a pop-up for Warner Music with BB Rexa, and we had that pop-up content experience in 2 games for 2 weeks, and we got 2 million visits to it. And so those were visits that were in the 10, 11 plus minutes of time spent. And if you think about TikTok, every video on a TikTok is less than a minute. And so, the engagement numbers they're not comparable. Roblox has so much to offer. You're not going to get that in a standard ad unit. But I still think that there is a place for advertising in the form of IAB solutions on Roblox, particularly if Roblox is able to achieve, and I might get this wrong, David, you can hold me to it, but one of the things that was mentioned at RDC, which is the goal of having 20% of time spent on Roblox not being about play over, I don't remember if it was 5 years or 10 years, but they are really moving towards the idea that this is a place where the people on the platform are going to spend time socializing, learning, shopping, doing things that they are currently doing to some degree elsewhere. I don't know that they're socializing as much elsewhere. In fact, I think more real-time communication happens on Roblox, probably anywhere other than Discord. But if they can achieve that, there is a place for these ads because they seem to work effectively when that is the primary behavior in other places.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, there's the ability to track conversion. There's the lower entry point. I think there's a lot of reasons why, these ad units would make a lot of sense, even if they don't have the same impact as like an integration into Avatar Catalog Creator or Driving Empire or what have you. So I want to wrap up our conversation by talking about RDC. What were some of your best takeaways? But before we do that, Evan, since you're sort of the OG Robloxian here, could you just give us a sense of like what is the Roblox Developer Conference? What does it mean for the creator base?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I've been going to RDC, Roblox Developer Conference, since 2017, and it's evolved a lot over the years. This was year 7 or whatever for me. And especially nowadays, I think it's ultimately the place where you learn about what's going on in the platform. You meet a lot of other creators on the platform. You share what you've learned, and I think from there, it's a great place for whether you're an indie developer or a large studio like Super League or Voldex to, network and make friends and meet brands and work on your next projects together. But even beyond that, RDC has always been a great place to connect with Roblox about any of the things going on. So this year they had like the booths at RDC where you could go and talk to different teams from Roblox about challenges you're facing. They even had a brand booth as well about how you can connect with brands better. And in general, RDC is just a great place for to connect with all different types of people.
Totally. Nice one. When I started in the space 2 years ago, my first 2 weeks, it was RDC, and Alex is like, "Yeah, come to RDC. You'll like get an idea of what this like ecosystem's all about." And it really was eye opening. It gave me a good sense of the creators, the other developers out there, the agencies, and the folks working at Roblox too. It was quite eye opening, and this was my third year there. And this time around, some things that really stood out to me were being able to have a lot of my colleagues out there. So about 30 Voldexers that were out there. I think people spotted the purple Voldex shirts from miles away, or like this purple army. I think the Roblox team got a little bit scared when they saw us walking by the booths because we were just going and drilling them with questions. So might be a bit of PTSD on their side of things. But being with all the Voldex folks was great. Meeting with developers, meeting with the Roblox teams, people that I talk to often. It's just good to see them in person. Same thing with the brand partners. And Evan, you talked about sharing knowledge. I think that in Roblox, like developers are very open to sharing and like what's been working well for them, even though they're in competition. At the same time, it's like a collaboration as well, which I find really, really cool. Even for myself, I shared. I was invited during one of the talks on a panel to talk about how to grow your game using analytics. And I shared a bunch of real world examples, exactly what we did, what we tested and what worked and why it worked. And, hopefully creators are able to take some of that away and implement it. Because I think, what's a saying that the rising tide lifts all ships, right? So yes, we're all competing against one another, but at the same time, if we want to make the platform a better place for users to play and stick around, then it's better for everybody. So it was great. I thought it was awesome. Voldex won an award. We're nominated for 5. We won one, so we're happy. And everything is good. We enjoyed it.
Harry, it was my third year as well. And it was also my third year of seeing the same Voldex shirts marching around. My one request is like, try a new t-shirt, guys. Come on.
So year one, we went with black t-shirts and it wasn't as memorable. So we went with purple. Last year it stood out. We went with a different purple. It was a slightly darker purple this year. The logo was on the side of the chest instead of the middle of the t-shirt.
All right. Glad to know you guys are mixing it up a little bit.
I guess, to me, there were 2 high-level observations. One is very similar to what both Evan and Harry have said. Harry did say the rising tide lifts all ships. I think it's ships in Canada, boats in the US. But that was so impressive to me. It really was. This is a group of enterprising, creative individuals who are unabashed in their ambition and really only limited in what they can accomplish by their imagination and skill. And this was a place where they gathered as a community, a powerful, tight, supportive community for the very purpose of advancing their knowledge and advancing their skill. And hopefully each creator's unique imagination then gets expressed in a way that helps them continue to be successful as enterprising, generally young people, in addition to some of the commercial studios like Voldex and Super League, but enterprising young people who are trying to create a career and make a living and, make this something that they can do every day or as long as they want throughout their life. And it was that sense of community and the fact that, look, everybody there who creates content on Roblox competes with everybody else who's there. And yet that level of competitive spirit that you would often find in other forums didn't seem like a prominent theme at all. It felt collaborative. It felt cooperative. And that is rare. And you got to give both the community, but also Roblox a lot of credit for being able to cultivate that emotion as the prevailing sort of, expression of people's enjoyment while they were there. And it kind of leads to the other observation, which is Roblox, of course, was created as a UGC platform. So the creator and developer community is really the lifeblood of the organization. And it's just not easy for a company who relies upon such a diverse group of creators from all over the world, with varying ages, varying interests, multiple languages. It's not easy for a company to be good at showing that community how important they are. And I think Roblox did a spectacular job of that. They really emphasized the how critical developers and creators are to Roblox, to their success, and how much Roblox is focused on giving creators more of what they need. There will always be tension between platforms and creators when it comes to economics. Can't avoid it. There's been tension on YouTube since the very beginning. But Roblox really did a very admirable job, in my view, of showing the creator community how important they are and how much respect Roblox has for them.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it was my third RDC, my first RDC. I was also like Harry, just getting started and didn't know a single person at the show. And, found myself just by happenstance talking to some creators who had, tens of millions of DAU in their games and who were more than happy to share, I think like it's a unique platform, kudos to Roblox, kudos to all the creators for also cultivating such an inclusive community. Kudos to Evan, who's our staple creator on the interview. And you've been here for over 10 years. So you've had a front row seat and also been a participant of that over the years. So yeah, it's been awesome. So just to wrap up, like, how can everybody, follow you guys, stay in touch? What's the best way for people to reach you?
For me, it's look me up as Matt Edelman on LinkedIn. I have the unique distinction, without specifically revealing my age, although I really don't care. I'm one of the first 100,000 people to have ever joined LinkedIn. So I got my name clean. And so can find me as Matt Edelman on LinkedIn.
You're like the Evan Zersky of LinkedIn.
If I could have been so lucky, Evan's far surpassed my level of success by the time, from when I was his age.
By the time he turned 20.
Exactly.
Awesome. How about you, Evan?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Evan Zersky, clean LinkedIn link. I've also got Twitter. It's at EvanZIR, and you can check out our company at turningtables.games.
Cool. For me, my last name is probably too hard to remember. It's Harry Bienenstock, but you could find me on LinkedIn. Harry, just type in Harry Voldex. There's actually two Harrys there, so I'm one of the two. I'm the one with the long last name. That's me.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast. This was a great conversation. I think a lot of people are going to find it interesting to just, wrap their heads around all the angles for brands to come onto the platform. I'll see you guys around.
If you enjoyed today's episode, whether on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, make sure to like, subscribe, comment, or give a 5-star review. And if you want to reach out or provide feedback, shoot us a note at podcast@naavik.co or find us on Twitter and LinkedIn. Plus, if you want to learn more about what Naavik has to offer, make sure to check out our website, www.naavik.co. There, you can sign up for the #1 games industry newsletter, Naavik Digest, or contact us to learn about our wide-ranging consulting and advisory services. Again, that is www.naavik.co. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.